My name is Doug, and this video is all about deep listening. After explaining what that is, I'm going to give you an activity you can try so you can engage in some deep listening for yourself. So what is deep listening? Well, deep listening is a practice that was created by Oliveros, an American composer and performer who created a lot of diverse and fascinating music. One of her biggest ideas was the concept of deep listening, which she described as a way of listening in every possible way to everything possible to hear no matter what you are doing. In order to help people become deeper listeners, she created what she called recipes. They were instructions for how to guide your listening and help you hear more of the world around you. Many of her recipes feel like a meditation practice because they focus your attention on the present moment, on what sounds you notice right now. Today, I'm going to walk you through an activity inspired by Oliveros that will open up your ears to the world around you, making you aware of your surroundings on a deeper level. Our objective is to try and seek out, with our hearing, what is around us that we might not be able to see. What you'll need for this task is something to write with, some paper, and your ears. Think of a place that you know that has a place to sit. This could be a park or a bus stop or anything in between. It would be better if you're not super familiar with it so you can hear it with a completely fresh perspective. I'm going to head to such a place now. So I'm at the Little Walnut Creek Grainbelt now, and this is not somewhere I've been before in Austin because it's just a little bit out of my normal path. So I've never been here before, and my goal is to take in as much as I possibly can now. The first thing I'm going to do is get settled in and comfortable. I'm sitting on a park bench, and once I do that, I'm going to write down all of the things that I see. I'm going to try and be as specific as I possibly can be. For this video, I'm just going to list them for you. So there are probably too many trees to count. But the ones that stick out to me are the tall one on the far left that extends above the camera's view. And then there's an angled one to the right of it. And then looking across, there's a path, and there's one tree directly across from me that's on the inside of the path, closer to the water. And then there are a few trees to the right that are all bunched together. There are a couple different types of trees all bunched together there. And they're all sticking out in slightly different directions. Most of the trees are blowing in the wind a little bit. I noticed the one directly across from me is just pretty still. It must be shielded from the wind more than the others. So I've mentioned a couple of these things. Across from the water is a path, and across from me a little bit to the right is another park bench that I could have sat at. That one looks a little less shady than mine. And then there's the water in front of me. This is actually a pond, and just past the tree line across is Walnut Creek. Looking in the water, I see some dragonflies that might be hard for you to see in the picture. Hovering around, looking for this or that. I also see a shape that could either be a log or maybe a fish. It seems to be moving a little bit, but it could just be moving because of the water blowing in the wind. I also see a couple bugs that aren't dragonflies. I don't know if they're moths or something else. The water is mostly in motion, going towards the right. But if you look all the way over to the side, on the right side, it seems to stop moving for some reason. And I don't know if that's because the wind isn't hitting it there, or if there's some pressure moving back against it in the other direction from hitting the edge of the pond. Everything is kind of a brownish green, including the water and the walking paths, and even the trees, which might be a little bit more yellowish green than brownish green. And then looking up, it's very not green. It's very picturesque clouds and blue sky up above. Big puffy clouds at the moment. And I'll give you a minute or two to see if you can see anything else that I might have missed. So now that I feel like I have a good sense of everything that I could see, I'm going to close my eyes and just listen. So you can feel that process. I'm going to black out the camera so you can experience the same. This time, I'm going to make a list of all the things I can hear. I'm going to focus my hearing on the area very close to me, then a little further away, and then more, until I can't hear any further off. I'm not going to narrate this, so you can try at home without interruption. Do this for at least 5 minutes, but see if you can do longer. If you're impatient and keep wondering if you've gone long enough, set a timer and just keep listening until it goes off. Once you have finished, compare your lists. We notice things about the world using both our eyes and ears. But did you notice more things by just using your ears or your eyes? Were you surprised you couldn't hear something that you had seen? Or surprised by something that you could hear but could not see? Most importantly, how much more of the world did you notice when you really focused on your hearing? One thing that I come back to time and time again when I do these activities is that I find the sonic world to be much more active and dynamic than the visual. The visual world can also be dynamic. Think of a bird swooping through a field. But when I look at my visual lists, they normally have more stationary than active elements. Maybe that's because for sounds to happen, there needs to be some sort of action to create the sound. If you wanted to take this further, you could try to make your lists as a Venn diagram. Or you could draw contrasting pictures. One that has things that you could only see, and one that has things you could only hear, and one that are items that can be both seen and heard. It's kind of wild to think about what the world would look like if you could only see things when they were making sound. If you enjoyed this, I suggest you try it again. You could go to the same place or try somewhere new. Try different times of day. Every time you do it, if you're really locking into the moment, you'll discover something. Maybe a neighbor installs a new wind chime, or someone's dog is trying to scare off a squirrel, or it suddenly became quieter than you were used to, and new sounds become more noticeable. I also really recommend you find some of Oliveris' books and music. She has both a book and album by the name Deep Listening, which are great places to start. There are also so many other musicians who work in this area. Another practice I personally enjoy are sound walks, developed by Canadian composer Hildegard Westerkamp. Most importantly, though, is that you take time to really expand what you hear and listen deeply to the world around you, becoming more connected to it. Thanks for watching.